Can this new tablet beat the Apple iPad? And is it best for you? Hi, this is Walt Mossberg from the Wall Street Journal, and this week I've been reviewing what I consider the most serious, the first really comparable contender to the iPad in the coming tablet wars, which really kick off this week. And it's called the Motorola Xoom, that's X-O-O-M. And there are a couple of interesting things about it. First of all, it's got some very powerful, sleek hardware. And secondly, it represents the first tablet to use Google's new tablet version of Android, which is called Honeycomb, and wasn't intended to run on smartphones, was really just intended to run on tablets that will try to go after the iPad. In addition, this is an interesting moment for the Xoom to appear because next week Apple is expected to unveil the second version of the iPad, and we don't exactly know what changes they'll be making or how that will affect the competition with these new Android and other tablets. So I've been testing this Xoom for about a week. It has a screen that's about the same size as the iPad, about 10 inches, but it's longer and narrower, and it's really aimed at fitting better with widescreen video. It's about as thick as the iPad and about as heavy as the iPad, although it has a somewhat smaller footprint. It is powered by a much more powerful processor, a dual-core processor, meaning there's two brains in the processor. And a lot of these new tablets and smartphones actually this year are going to have dual-core tablets. We'll have to wait to see what Apple says about that with regard to its coming products. In addition, it has a higher screen resolution. That means a sharper image on the screen. And it has better speakers. And it will, although not at launch, but they're promising that it will do two things that are interesting. One is it will run Flash video, which the Apple products, the Apple tablets and phones don't. And it will eventually be upgradable to 4G cellular data, the new faster cellular network that Verizon, which is the carrier for this tablet, is rolling out and will eventually have on this device. There are some downsides to the Xoom. For one thing, compared to the iPad, it has very few tablet-oriented, tablet-specific third-party apps, although Google has done a really nice job with Honeycomb, and it has rewritten some of the core apps in a way that is very nice for use on a tablet. But Apple has 60,000 third-party apps that are available in tablet-specific form that take advantage of a big tablet screen, and Google is just getting started on that. The other downside that I found is in battery life. Although these two devices weigh about the same, they both claim about 10 hours of battery life. In my test where I played video back to back, last year the iPad went 11 and a half hours or so. This week, the Xoom, on the very same test, went only about 7.5 hours, and that's a 4-hour difference. But perhaps the biggest negative on the Xoom, despite its many other positive qualities and the positive qualities of Honeycomb, may be price. That may be its Achilles heel. Most people interested in tablets know that the base or entry-level price for an iPad is $499. iPads do go all the way up to $829, depending on the amount of memory you put in and whether they have a a cellular modem in them or just Wi-Fi. But you can buy an iPad, and many people do, at $4.99. The base price of the Xoom without a cell phone contract is $800. That's a lot more expensive, even though it may have a faster processor and better screen resolution and so forth. That's still a lot more money. You can buy it subsidized if you're willing to buy a 2-year Verizon contract, but even then you're paying $600. Now, in fairness, it has more memory than the base iPad, and it does have a cellular modem. So if you match up those specs along the iPad's lineup, that kind of iPad would cost you $729, but it doesn't require a cell phone contract, and that's still cheaper than the no contract price of $800. I don't know what the new second generation iPad that'll be announced next week will cost. We'll have to find out, but for the moment, this appears to be more expensive, at least at the entry level, than the iPad. And to get the price down, you have to get a contract, whereas on the iPad there are no contracts required. So there are pluses and there are minuses, but this is I think, impressive piece of hardware. It's beautifully constructed. It feels very solid, and it's running, I think, a well-done tablet Android operating system. And I think that sets up a very interesting competition. This is Walt Mossberg, and I'll see you next week.